Hi everyone, I'm so woke here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for the latest installment of the YUNOREVIEW, where I go over Gauntlet style, a series of records that I didn't have a chance or didn't have the will to do a formal full-length review on. Some releases from 2018, I believe, in here, maybe not. A lot of 2017 December stuff. This is going to be a bit of a backlogged episode, but still, it's a YUNOREVIEW. All right, guys, let's transition into that, shall we? Here we go. It's a Cannibal Corpse album. You know at this point, Cannibal Corpse, they're not going to change it up. They're brutal, they're nasty, they're blood cake. They're going to stick to the meat and potatoes fundamentals of death metal. And they pretty much are. You know, they sound a little bit heavier, a little bit nastier than they did back in the day, just ever so slightly, because the production is just thicker and more intense. But it's your standard Cannibal Corpse record. Morbid Angel definitely made a return on this one. You know, it's not like one of their best records yet, but it's certainly better than the last album. Everybody knows that. It's certainly better than the last album. I mean, in the grander scheme of things, maybe it is just kind of a generic death metal record, but hey, you know what? Some of the riffs are pretty nasty on this thing. The vocal performances are pretty nice, and the production, it's heavy, but it's not too super clean. It's not too dolled up. This is a Godflesh record that is less on the blood-pumping, exhilarating, like, side of the spectrum, more on the, hey, we're just going to experiment and do whatever our artistic whims tell us to do side of the spectrum, which is okay. It does make for kind of an inconsistent listen, unfortunately. I thought their comeback record was just a lot more solid. While I didn't love this as much as the OC's record, The Orc, that came out last year, I do encourage anybody who enjoyed that record to also try this out. Of course, John Dwyer has his mitts in this record too, although it is not a hard, punky, psych garage epic like that album is. It's more like a kind of experimental folk vibe. It's pretty nice, it's pretty sweet, it's very spacey, very patience testing at points, but still a pretty enjoyable record. Man, I feel like Ty Dolla Ign used to have so much character. And now it seems like everything he's doing is just to, I don't know, appeal to the lowest common denominator in the commercial R&B audience. Like, the dude has so much chops singing. I feel like he brought so much to the table in terms of songwriting that a lot of his contemporaries didn't. And this release to me just says he's selling himself short. He's selling himself short. This new Juicy J album is actually pretty tight. It's actually pretty nice. There are a few songs here and there where it seems like he's giving in really hard to contemporary trends in pop rap and trap in order to just kind of stay relevant, hopefully get a hit out of it or something. But Floodwatch, amazing track. His flows are great. Production all around is pretty good. You know, it's also Juicy J. He's not the most dynamic rapper and artist in the world, so the album is slightly one-dimensional, but hey, you know what? It's a little better than Stay Trippy, I would say, and really digging it. Would have never foreseen a day where the bassist from Korn comes through with a solo record where he's just playing some bass. The record isn't entirely bass, like he has guest musicians on there, mostly drums, and it's just kind of him jamming on some drum beats and stuff. I mean, if you're a bass aficionado, and you know your bassist, which Fieldy is very talented. You know, he made his mark on metal music in a way that very few other bassists have. So, you know, again, bass aficionado, metalhead, you love a little virtuosity, you want to hear some sick bass jams, you want to hear Fieldy playing some sick, like, bass slap riffs, and then over that, like, soloing on it or something, give it a listen, because honestly, it's more fun than I thought it was going to be. not seeing the huge hype behind this Maxo Kream project, unfortunately. Like, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Don't get me wrong. But I felt like his previous projects were kind of average. This one, in my opinion, kind of average. Like, the fundamentals are there. He hops on decent production, but the content of his lyrics and his kind of middle-of-the-road flows and his, I don't know, somewhat average voice to me just don't stick out, you know? I mean, I guess it's a good release for the start of 2018. You know, certainly more solid than a lot of what we've been hearing as far as like December and the first leg of January. But am I going to be remembering this in December? Probably not. I didn't review this by Muy Drugs album last year. I have no excuse. You know, I guess a lot of you guys really liked the industrial hip-hop style that was come through on this record. I personally, though, thought it was just kind of messy and all over the place. You know, like it could have used a bit more grooming and a bit more fleshing out of some of these tracks, and I think the track list could have been pared down a little bit. However, tons of respect to Denmark Vesey, because I think he did come through with an experimental project that has a lot of good ideas on it. But are they organized into something that is a really compelling album? I didn't review this Cool Kids record either. I have no excuse here either. It's actually kind of decent. I mean, it's better than Fish Ride Bicycles. It's better than Fish Ride Bicycles. It's a little long. It's a little all over the place. But hey, you know, the duo are back. Some of their best tracks in years on this thing. Quirky production style, some fun lyrics. They kind of overload it on the features, and there are a few songs here and there where it's pretty obvious that they're working outside of their comfort zone in an effort to maybe just kind of gain a new audience. But hey, it's not a bad album, and certainly more solid than some of the more mainstream hip-hop failures to come out in 2017. I didn't really want to review this Willow Smith album. I thought the lyrics were really cringy. With every new album, Miguel gets like more and more mediocre. I just don't see... Where's rock bottom? When are we going to hit rock bottom? Unfortunately, I didn't dig on this new Mariam the Believer album as much as I did her previous record, and I didn't end up covering it. I didn't get a lot of requests for it, and it was hard for me to just kind of like find interest in the record for myself personally. I feel like a lot of what attracted me to her last album was just stripped away on this album. And what I'm talking about isn't just merely an aesthetic thing, because for the most part, the instrumentation and the wonderful vocals Mariam typically brings to the table, they're all here. But the long-form songwriting and the mystical vibes of her last album, I kind of underestimated, or maybe didn't even completely understand just how integral they were to making that record work for me, making that record just an amazing listen, because this album by comparison seems so much more straightforward. The songwriting approach is way more direct, and yet for whatever reason the songs, in my opinion, kind of fall flat on their face and don't really pop. I don't really mind going more straightforward, but I guess if your songs are gonna be that shape, they've got to kind of hit a little harder, and unfortunately that's just not the case for this new album. I just could not get past the vocals on this new Baths album. I just couldn't, you know. As much as I have enjoyed some of Baths' music in the past, the vocals really did get to me here. They really, truly did. And I don't know why. Probably because I suck. Let's just chalk this up to me sucking. Let's just say, hey, Anthony sucks. And that's why he didn't enjoy the new Baths record. He sucks. I'm glad that it seems like Chief Keef is in a better place, and it's nice that he still has fans that care about his music at this point, despite him not being at the highest point of relevancy that he's been in a while. And it's actually been kind of cool seeing the major influence he's had on a lot of this like new wave of SoundCloud rappers we have out right now. However, I feel like him taking a more refined approach in his music, for sure it's welcome to a degree, but I feel like he's not really replacing the high energy and I guess the insanity of his older music with like I don't know, any compelling sort of substance. And I also feel like as a rapper, as a lyricist, he's just really kind of average still at this point. His voice is still just very, I don't know, flat to me, just emotionless, kind of dry, drab, kind of lifeless. I'm just really not seeing the excitement behind this, honestly. But there you go. But position. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe, and please don't cry. Just leave a thoughtful comment in the comments if you're feeling thoughtful, okay? Over here next to my head is another review you can check out. Click on that or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Why You Know Review forever.